Good Tuesday morning. I hope everybody is having a wonderful week so far. I have a question for you. Have you ever been told you need to change your perspective? I bet you have. I know that I've been told that several times. It's interesting how changing your perspective can change the way you see things. My wife and I are very different in one area of our lives. I can look at something and see how it could be in my head. I can just kind of see it. And on the flip side of that, Diane has to have more concrete visuals to realize how something can be. And it really is a kind of a perspective thing. And I've had this happen in my life where I have felt like a complete failure. You ever felt like that? Where everything you do and everything you touch, everything in your life all of a sudden just seems to fall apart. And I bet for most of us, we probably all felt like that at some point. I remember one very specific time I had been doing youth ministry at another church, and for some reason, I had been going really well, and then I started struggling. And things were struggling at work as well, at home, and even in my personal relationships with friends. Everything just felt like it was falling apart. I felt God was calling into ministry permanently in a full-time capacity, but in my head, and in my heart, I felt, how is this possible that God could use me in a complete mess that I was in to be able to do his work? Then one night I got woke up. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know about you, but when you get woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, you really just want to go back to sleep. But sometimes it's a real struggle. And this particular night, I couldn't go back to sleep. I was exhausted, but I couldn't sleep. So I got up and I went to the couch. And as I was sitting there, I was kind of praying, but really I was just really more focused on what was going on in my life. And I felt God kind of impress upon me to read Philippians 4, verses 11 through 13. So I grabbed my Bible and I read it. And here's what it says. It says, "Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to be abound in any and every circumstance." I have to learn the secret of facing plenty and hungry, abundance and need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I put it down and I'm like, well, that's a really nice passage, God, but how does that help me right now? Then I felt God just kind of tell me, hey, read it again, but read it slow. And as I was reading it, I came to verse 13. I can do all things through him. God said, stop and focus on the word through. Then it felt like we just kind of had this dialogue. I felt him ask me, Carl, is there anything going on in your life that I do not know about? No. Is there anything going on in your life that I can't change? No. Carl, what would it be different if you saw yourself through my eyes? Well, I know that I'm accepted and I'm chosen and I'm saved and secure. I know that I am valued by you and loved. He said, Carl, do you really think you are big enough to keep me from accomplishing my kingdom plans that I have for you? No. This isn't about what you do for me, Carl, but rather what you let me do through you. Carl, what would be different if you saw your circumstances through the eyes of Jesus? Would you be overwhelmed? No. Carl, circumstances are tools in my hands. I use them to finish the good works that I have started. Would it be different if you saw other people through the eyes of Jesus? Is their problems really with you or with me? Carl, I have made faith available to you and to them. At this time, you are accepting and implementing faith. Do you really need their approval? No, because what I say about you is enough. It is the final word. Carl, why won't you let walking with me be enough for you today? I really do know what I'm doing, and I really can be trusted. Carl, why don't you let what I say about you be enough? Only my words have the power to set you free to be the man of faith that I've created you to be. I had to think about all that for quite a while. Are you letting God live in and through you? Are you seeing your circumstances and others through the eyes of Jesus? When I used to teach a little bit about perspective and how we see things. And I held up a picture one day in front of my class, and it looked like just a bunch of black and white spots, designs on a piece of paper. And I asked the group, I said, what do you see? And I would get all kinds of answers ranging from, oh, I see a turtle. Oh, I see a footprint. Oh, I see this. I said, none of those are correct. And I changed the angle of the paper just a little bit, just a little change in perspective. And then all of a sudden people are like, oh, it's a cow. I said, yes, it is. A little change in your perspective can change what you see. The funny thing is, the way the brain works is every time they see that picture from now on, they will see the cow. I want to read you something from my mother-in-law, Mary. She is so wise, and she sent this, something that she wrote. God found Gideon in a hole. He found Joseph in a prison. He found Daniel in the lion's den. He has a habit of showing up in the midst of troubles, not the absence. Where the world sees failure, God sees future. Next time you feel unqualified to be used by God, remember this. He tends to recruit from the pit, not the pulpit. And then she wrote this prayer that I want to end with. Dear God, you have brought me to the beginning of a new day. I ask you to renew my heart with you, strength and purpose. Forgive my errors of yesterday and help me walk closer in you or your ways today. Shine through me so that every person I meet may feel your presence in my soul. Take my hand, for I cannot make it by myself. Amen. I pray your perspective enlightens you and lifts your heart today.